What if I told you that anxiety, the very thing you're desperately trying to avoid, might actually be life's greatest gift to you? Sounds crazy, right? I mean, we're living in a society that's absolutely obsessed with eliminating any discomfort, chasing instant happiness and permanent peace of mind. But here's a truth that goes against everything you've been taught. Kierkegaard, one of history's most brilliant philosophers, discovered that anxiety isn't your enemy, it's your compass to freedom. While everyone else is running away from it, the people who truly transform their lives, they learn to dance with it. Here's the paradox: what scares you most could be exactly what sets you free. That tightness in your chest when you think about changing your life. That butterflies in your stomach feeling before making an important decision. That restlessness that keeps you up at night. All of this is your soul knocking on the door. Most people interpret these signals as warnings to back off, but those who get it, they know these are invitations to step forward. It's like having an internal GPS pointing you toward where your greatest potential for transformation lives. So I'm going to ask you right now, if this video resonates with you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and turn on those notifications. Because what you're about to discover here could completely change your relationship with anxiety. Get ready to see this feeling not as a roadblock, but as the most powerful fuel that exists for an authentic and extraordinary life. Here's a truth that few people dare to admit. Everyone feels anxiety, but we all pretend we're the only ones. It's like we're carrying around this heavy secret, thinking our struggle is unique, that our restlessness makes us different from everyone else. Kierkegaard figured this out early on, when he realized that his existential questioning wasn't some personal curse, but part of the most universal human experience there is. The difference is that most people prefer to mask this reality with distractions, while a brave few decide to face it head-on. When you understand that anxiety is shared by every conscious being out there, something magical happens. You stop feeling like an alien. Think about that feeling that hits you when you're at a party and suddenly you're like, what am I even doing here? What's the point of all this? Or when you wake up in the middle of the night with this unexplainable restlessness, like something important is missing from your life. That's existential anxiety talking, and it doesn't discriminate based on age, social class, or profession. The successful executive feels it, the stay-at-home parent feels it, the artist feels it, the student feels it. It's the price we pay for being creatures capable of reflecting on our own existence, of questioning the why behind everything. What makes it all more fascinating is realizing that this very anxiety that makes us feel isolated could be exactly what connects us to each other. It's like a secret language we all speak, but rarely admit to knowing. When someone has the courage to expose their struggle, immediately other people identify with it, because they recognize in those words the echo of their own questioning. It's in this mutual recognition that the first spark of freedom is born. You're not lost, you're not broken, you're simply human. And being human, by definition, means carrying within yourself the capacity to question, to doubt, to feel this discomfort that points to something much bigger than we imagine. Kierkegaard had this genius insight when he described a sensation we all know but few can actually name, that dizziness we feel when faced with life's infinite possibilities. He called it the dizziness of freedom. And he used this perfect analogy to explain it. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down. The fear you feel isn't just about accidentally falling. It's also about that disturbing realization that you could choose to jump. This double sensation of terror and fascination at the same time is exactly what we experience when we come face to face with our own freedom of choice. Anxiety doesn't arise because we're limited, but because we're too free. Day to day, this dizziness shows up in life's most decisive moments. When you're about to quit that job that no longer makes sense, when you're considering ending a relationship that's become routine, or when you're thinking about moving to a completely new city, your heart races, your breathing gets shallow, and this internal voice whispers, "What if it goes wrong?" But there's another voice, more subtle, that asks, "What if it goes right?" That second voice is the one that really scares us, because it reminds us that we're responsible for our choices. No more excuses, no more blame, just us and our capacity for transformation. Most people interpret this dizziness as a sign they should back down, that they should choose the safer, more predictable path. But Kierkegaard invites us to a revolutionary perspective. What if this dizziness was actually an invitation? What if the anxiety we feel in the face of possibilities was our soul's way of telling us we're alive, we're growing, we're about to discover a more authentic version of ourselves? This shift in perspective changes everything, because instead of running from the dizziness, we start dancing with it. And it's in this dance that we discover something surprising. Our personal power is way bigger than we ever imagined. Kierkegaard's genius was in seeing what nobody else could. Anxiety isn't a bug in the human system, it's a feature. Think about a high-performance athlete moments before a decisive competition, heart pounding, hands sweating, this electric energy coursing through their whole body. Anyone would say they're nervous, anxious, maybe even scared. But what's really happening is their organism is preparing to give its absolute best, mobilizing internal resources they didn't even know they had. Anxiety is this same vital energy disguised as discomfort. It's the fuel of transformation that we just haven't learned to recognize yet. When you feel that tightness in your chest before an important presentation, or when your stomach churns on the eve of a decision that could change your life, it's not weakness. It's your internal navigation system pointing to where growth lives. It's like your soul has this special radar that detects evolution opportunities and sounds an alarm. Attention, there's discovery potential here. Unfortunately, we've been conditioned to interpret this alarm as a danger signal, when it's actually an invitation to adventure. The difference between those who get paralyzed and those who use anxiety as a springboard lies exactly in this interpretation. Imagine if you started seeing every moment of anxiety as an internal compass, showing you the path to your best version. That uneasiness you feel when you think about expressing your real opinion in a meeting, that's your authenticity asking for passage. Those butterflies when you consider starting that project that excites you, that's your passion wanting to be born. When we change our relationship with anxiety, it stops being the enemy and becomes our greatest ally in the journey of self-discovery. That's how ordinary people do extraordinary things. They learn to surf on the energy of their own restlessness. Kierkegaard had this phrase that really got to people: find the idea for which you'd be willing to live and die. Sounds way too dramatic for our age of practical choices and rational decisions, but he knew something we've forgotten. Without passion, life becomes just a survival exercise. We're not talking about that Hollywood passion, full of drama and artificial intensity, but that inner flame that makes your eyes light up when you talk about something that truly matters to you. It's that energy that gets you out of bed on tough days, that makes you lose track of time when you're immersed in what you love. This passion doesn't come from outside. It springs from your deepest subjective truth, from what only you can know about yourself. Most people spend their lives looking for passion in all the wrong places, in jobs that pay well, in relationships that impress others, in hobbies that are trendy. But Kierkegaard teaches us that true passion is born when we stop trying to please the world and start listening to our own soul. It's like that person who leaves a law career to open a small bookstore, not because it's more profitable, but because that's where their heart finds home. or like someone who dedicates weekends to teaching underprivileged kids, not out of social obligation, but because they feel they're fulfilling their purpose. These people have discovered something revolutionary. When you act driven by your authentic passion, anxiety transforms into fuel. What's interesting is that true passion never completely eliminates anxiety. It channels it. It's like the difference between fear that paralyzes and fear that energizes. When you're aligned with your inner truth, anxiety becomes creative expectation. Uneasiness becomes productive urgency. You still feel those butterflies, but now you know those butterflies are a sign you're walking in the right direction. That's how the courage to take that leap is born. The one everyone considers crazy, but that makes perfect sense to you. There's a moment in every brave person's life where guarantees run out, and only one option remains: jump. Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith. And he wasn't just talking about religion. He was talking about the courage to live without a safety net. It's like that moment when you're at the edge of a pool for the first time. You can stand there forever, analyzing the water temperature, the depth, the risks. But at some point, you just gotta jump. Authentic life demands these leaps. Moments where you act based on an inner conviction you can't rationally explain to anyone. It's when you say, I don't know where this is going to lead, but I know I can't stay where I am. The leap of faith isn't impulsiveness or irresponsibility. It's a conscious decision to trust in something bigger than your ability to control all outcomes. It's when someone decides to invest their life savings in an idea they believe in, even without guarantee of success. It's when a person ends a comfortable but passionless relationship to seek something more genuine. It's when you choose to express your real opinion, even knowing it might create conflict. These moments require courage that comes from within, faith in your own ability to deal with the consequences of your choices. The anxiety will be there. But now, it's a travel companion, not an obstacle. What separates people who make these leaps from those who stay forever at the pool's edge is a deep understanding. The biggest risk isn't making mistakes. It's never trying. Kierkegaard knew that a life without leaps becomes a life of silent regrets, where people age wondering, what if I'd had the courage? But those who learn to jump discover something liberating even when things don't go as planned. The simple fact of having tried is already a victory against mediocrity. That's how stories worth telling are born. Lives that inspire, transformations that really matter. The cruelest thing that can happen to a person isn't facing great tragedies or impossible challenges. It's getting used to a life that's way too small for their soul. Kierkegaard called this silent despair, that state where everything seems normal on the outside, but inside there's this growing emptiness, a constant feeling that something important is missing. It's like having a powerful car and only using first gear. It works, but you know it wasn't made for that. Paralysis happens when anxiety, instead of pushing us forward, becomes a force that keeps us stuck. We procrastinate on projects that excite us, avoid conversations that could change relationships, let opportunities slip away, because we prefer familiar pain to the uncertainty of the unknown. The scariest thing about paralysis is that it disguises itself as prudence. I'm being realistic. It's not the right time. I need to prepare more. These phrases become mantras that justify a life of perpetual waiting. Meanwhile, years go by, and that inner voice asking for change gets weaker, more distant, until it almost disappears. It's like having a winning lottery ticket in your pocket, and never having the courage to go check if you won anything. The person lives in eternal expectation, but never acts to turn expectation into reality. That's the price of paralysis. You stay alive, but you stop truly living. The difference between those who break free from paralysis and those who settle into it lies in an apparently simple decision: choosing the discomfort of growth over the discomfort of stagnation. Because let's face it, both are uncomfortable, but only one leads somewhere interesting. People who break through paralysis discover that the anxiety they feared so much was actually pent-up energy waiting to be used. When they finally decide to act, they realize they had way more courage than they imagined. And this discovery opens the path to something even deeper: the inner silence, where answers truly live. We're living in an age where noise is constant: notifications, conversations, background music, racing thoughts. And in the middle of this cacophony, we've lost the ability to hear our own inner voice. Kierkegaard advocated something that seems almost revolutionary today: only in silence do we discover who we really are. We're not just talking about external silence, but that inner state where we stop running from ourselves and finally pay attention to what our soul is trying to tell us. It's in this space that anxiety stops being chaotic noise and transforms into a clear message. Like after tuning into a specific frequency, you can finally hear what's always been broadcasting. Imagine setting aside 15 minutes of your day to simply exist without an agenda. No phone, no music, nothing to distract you. Could be walking around the house, sitting in a chair, or even taking a shower with full attention. At first, it's uncomfortable because we're addicted to external stimuli. But gradually, something interesting happens. Insights start emerging about situations you'd been avoiding thinking about, answers to questions you didn't even know you were asking. It's like your mind, finally free from distractions, can do its job of organizing and processing everything that was pent up. Many people discover in these experiences that they knew exactly what they needed to do. They just weren't listening. Silence has transformative power because in it, anxiety finds its true voice. Instead of that diffuse feeling of discomfort, you start identifying what specifically is asking for attention in your life. Could be a relationship that needs an honest conversation, a project that's being postponed out of fear, or a change of direction your heart's been asking for. When the message becomes clear, anxiety stops being the problem and becomes the solution. That's how people start making decisions aligned with their inner truth, instead of reacting to what the external world is demanding from them. And this transition marks the beginning of something even deeper: the journey toward full authenticity. Authenticity is probably the rarest and most precious thing that exists in the modern world. We're surrounded by ready-made molds, careers that have a future, relationships that make sense, behaviors that are well regarded, and the pressure to fit into these patterns is massive. But Kierkegaard teaches us something revolutionary. Following these molds without questioning is a subtle form of soul suicide. It's trading your unique essence for a generic, socially approved version. A person might even be successful by conventional standards, but carries within them constant uneasiness because they know they're playing a character instead of living their own life. Authenticity requires courage to disappoint some people and the wisdom to know that's not your problem. Living authentically means accepting that you'll never please everyone, and that's perfectly fine. It's like that person who decides to quit their banking job to become a chef, knowing their parents will be disappointed. Or like someone who chooses not to have kids in a family where that's expected, or who comes out knowing they'll face prejudice. These decisions require enormous inner strength because they mean putting your personal truth above external expectations. But those who have this courage discover something liberating. When you stop living to please others, you finally have energy to build a life that makes sense to you. What's interesting is that the journey toward authenticity never ends. It's a continuous process of conscious choices between what's easy and what's true. Every time you choose to express your real opinion, instead of saying what they expect to hear, every time you make a decision based on what you feel rather than what's correct, you're taking a small step toward who you really are. Anxiety keeps showing up on this path, but now it has a different role. It's the guardian of your integrity, the alarm that goes off when you're betraying yourself. And those who learn to listen to this alarm discover that authentic life, even with all its challenges, is infinitely more satisfying than any success built on a personal lie. Anxiety isn't your enemy. It never was. It's the sign that you're alive, that you have potential to grow, that your soul won't settle for a life that's too small for your dreams. Kierkegaard left us a gift, the understanding that what we avoid most could be exactly what we need to embrace most. Every moment of uneasiness is a jumping opportunity. Every dizziness of freedom is an invitation to your own greatness. But knowledge without action is just intellectual entertainment, and you deserve way more than that. Now I want to ask you some questions that won't leave you alone. How many times has anxiety already stopped you from making a decision that could have changed everything? How many transformation opportunities have you lost because you preferred the comfort of paralysis? And the most important question, if you kept doing exactly what you're doing today for the next 5 years, where would you be? Does that answer scare you or excite you? Because if it scares you, it's time to use that energy for something revolutionary, to finally live the life your soul is asking for. What are you going to do with everything you discovered here? Are you going to file these ideas away in the interesting stuff I heard drawer? Or are you going to have the courage to put them into practice? Tell me in the comments, what was this video's biggest revelation for you? And if you're ready to transform your anxiety into fuel for an extraordinary life, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and share this content with someone who needs to stop running from themselves. Because authentic life isn't for everyone. It's only for those who have the courage to embrace their own dizziness of freedom.